Mayor of the city of Ashford, and I didn't realize your first year is going by rather fastly, hasn't it?
Faster than I expected.
Just a little bit about you. Prior to being mayor, you worked for the city of Ashford in what department?
I was the utilities director.
And then you decided you want to run for mayor, and you now are the boss of the ship.
I am.
So, you, with being the boss, we operate from our heart a lot of times, and then from the business mind. From the heart, you've got some tough decisions to make because, as we have discussed and have learned, that the money from the general fund and the expenditures and the income are about break even. It's causing you to make some tough decisions in Ashford. I'm going to add a little bit before we start. You have certain money that's earmarked, like the water fund and court fund, you can't swap around, so most of the cities operated off the general fund.
That's correct.
So with the revenue and the income being about a break even, what are you having to do to protect the city of Ashford?
Well, we're having to make a lot of cuts. I mean, it's not wanted cuts. We have the majority of our departments are funded through the general fund. And all of our revenue for the general fund is tax-based revenue. So you have business license, you got sales and use tax, you got ad valorem tax. So here's where we sit. And when I came to the end of the year, the fiscal year, September the 30th, and I had to face the council, I was in as much shock as anybody else was. You know, when you're trying to figure out what you're doing and you're learning like I am learning, this is a learning process whether I like it or not. You learn what you can do and what you can't do. And I have a responsibility to the city of Ashford to make sure that it has a balanced budget. And, you know, my heart, I probably cried more than anybody else has, because my heart is for the people. But the truth is, if the city is bankrupt, then what do we have? Then I have a legal responsibility to the state. And so I had to make some of the toughest decisions of my life. And what I began to do was I cut it home. Now, everybody wants to say, well, you mean I cut it home? Well, my department was the water, sewage, and sanitation and streets. And so I cut there first. I told two men right before Thanksgiving that they had to go, because I realized that we had a major problem that had to be fixed quickly. Now, do I like that? No, I sure don't. I really don't. Because when I came to Ashford 5 years ago, well, in 2008, I didn't have a job. And there's nothing worse than knowing that you're jobless. And so, you know, when you have to tell a man that he can't support his family through the means that he's been supporting, of course it weighs on me. So I began to look at other ways. What were we going to do? Well, in looking at everything, I found out that 35% of our general fund budget is spent on the police department. Well, I understand that public safety is number one here. Everybody wants to feel safe. I do too. I'm part of the fire department.
Yeah, you're a member of the fire department, but you don't draw any money.
No.
You help fight fires, but you don't get paid for
No.
it.
So what I started looking at, what got my attention, was the day that the church burnt down. And the first call was to 911. And so I started looking at something, and it is not comfortable to look at from a heart standpoint. Nobody would want to make the decisions I'm making, so don't think that my heart is cold to this. It isn't. It's just, you have to make a decision on this. It's that at the end of the year, at the end of our fiscal year, September the 30th, we had about $67,000 in the bank, roughly. Okay. By the second, third week in October, we had $19,000 in the bank. And the majority of our money doesn't come in until the second quarter and the end of the second quarter. All right, so yesterday, we had $60,000 in the bank in the general fund, and we wrote $35,000 worth of checks. All right, well, you have to pay the people who you owe. This is a business. As much as this is a city, this is a business. And for me, it would be unconscionable for me to allow the city to go on a path that would destroy it when it's just getting up and going. Most people, we haven't gotten started. Well, we have gotten started with the FEMA projects, but we owe money on that. And when they get started, we've got to pay it. We owe money on a grant that we got. We're going to redo the water and sewer, and we've got to pay that. And this is not small things. These are big things, but they're things that are necessary for the growth of the city of Ashford. There's no way to get around it. We found out that we we paid utilities, insurance, maintenance on the Houston Love Memorial Library, and I know that people are out there going to think about me. My kids have got a library card at that library, okay? But the building is not ours, and so our attorney said, you have an uninsurable asset. Well, it doesn't make good business sense to keep doing something if you're going to lose your money. I mean, it's not. And so we went to the council, and the council agreed that we would stop that funding and negotiate with the library for a set amount of appropriation. We pay on top of the utilities. We pay an appropriation of $8,500 a year. So it's not like we're not wanting this service in our community. It's that we have to be able to afford the services that we're going to provide. If not, we're going to have to. It's an eventual process. This is a process of business. It will close the doors. So I don't want the doors to close. I own a home in Ashford. I live here in Ashford. My children go to school here in Ashford. I mean, this is my home. Mm-hmm. This is my home.
But you're having to make the decisions to make it feasible to be able to operate and to pay the bills.
Yep.
All right, now because people don't understand, you made a comment when the church burned about 911. Let's explain a little bit a minute.
Okay.
When you dial 911, it rings one of 2 points, which is the Dothan Police Department or the Houston County Sheriff's Department.
That's
so
correct.
Ashford, City of Ashford, or no other police department in Houston County actually answers a 911 call.
That
correct?
is correct.
So one of the changes that you're making is moving dispatch to the sheriff's office, but currently a 911 call, the sheriff's office has to answer it, or if they're busy, Dothan Police answers it, takes a call, and then sends it to Ashford, correct?
That's correct.
So with one of the cuts you're talking about is $120,000 in salaries of 5 Ashford dispatchers.
Correct.
Nothing will really change with the city of Ashford other than the sheriff's department will be the point of contact.
That would be correct. I know that there were some concerns about what would happen to the elderly who are called on a daily basis. And though I haven't talked with Miss Mayreen Granger, who is the director of the Ashford Senior Center, one of the things that I wanted to do was we're already paying people, we're already paying a staff who's taking care of the elderly in our community. And I think that it would be a perfect time, because we want to provide those services and we want to check on the elderly, okay? That if we want this, that what we would do is we would provide that service through our senior center. It's not that service would go away. We'll take those people, those customers of the city of Ashford, we'll just apply that service in a different area that's affordable for us.
So when are you looking at changing dispatch being effective, that the sheriff's department will take over?
Last night I said that we wanted to try to take care of that by the end of January, okay? But in talking with the sheriff's department this morning, we were talking about logistics, because now, of course, it's out there in the open. So what we talked about was probably to get all the logistics set up, it'd probably take 6 weeks or so. We're not, it's not like we're not looking at every department in the city. We are. We're looking at every department. Of course, it's not that we want to, it's that we want to be solvent. We want to. We want to be solvent.
Right. And just so the citizens of Ashford know, and the genuineness in your heartfelt, and you and I have talked before, and ladies and gentlemen, I don't say of the tears rolling down the mayor's cheek, that this is stuff he doesn't want to do with the people, with the citizens. I'm not with the people who work here, because they're your friends, but you've got to operate under the business aspect.
You know, the sad part about it is that I couldn't say anything about it because I didn't have anything definite. But it was getting to the point where if I didn't say something now, that I wouldn't say something later. Because on one hand, you lead with your heart, and everybody knows that I cry a lot. But it's because if you have a passion for something, you want to see it progress. Okay. Do I want businesses to come to Ashford? Yep, I sure do. I do. But can I bank on that right now? I can't.
Right.
And what I don't want to do is to bank on something and it not come through, and before I can correct it, I'm already done. You know, and so my heart is for the city. I sleep about 5 or 6 hours a night. My heart is for the city. But if my heart is for the city, then I'm going to do the right thing, though it's the hard thing. And I'm going to tell the people of Ashford that you elected me to serve you in the best possible way. And I had someone tell me that I was committing political suicide. And I would tell you that I understand that. But if we don't do something now, in 4 years there won't be a city of Ashford. And so I would rather run 4 years and do it to the best of my ability with what I have at the moment than to lie to the citizens of Ashford and cover it up and not be responsible.
I commend you for it. It's tough decisions, but you have to do what you have to do to protect the city so that y'all can operate.
You know, we serve such a large area around us. People don't realize. They don't realize that we take the calls for Gordon. They don't. No, this is it.
Yes.
Our fire department goes all outside of Ashford. Our rescue department, you know, they didn't know. This caught them off guard, but I couldn't say anything. I had to be able to tell it in public. This is not something that is comfortable. It isn't. I mean, it just isn't. You know, we service county schools here. Our police take care of county schools. Whether they like that or not, that's the truth. It is the truth. Bubba Odom has a direct line to Jim Stanley. I mean, this is it. I mean, it is what it is. But Ashford, as busy as a little town as it is, for the busyness of it, the funds just aren't as busy as the business really is.
People don't realize in the city of Ashford, you've got Ashford Academy that's a private school.
Yep.
You got Ashford High School, you got Ashford Middle School, and Ashford Elementary School. So during the week,
You have an influx of 1,700 kids a day.
right, and that are not residents of Ashford,
No.
but residents of the county and that
Yep.
come here, and with the academy, residents of a big surrounding area.
Now, does it bother me? No, my children go to this school. I love it.
Right.
Okay, I think it's
But it's a
amazing,
responsibility.
But it's a responsibility. All right, and that's what they have to understand. If we're going to grow, all right, we may have to be starting from the bottom. Okay, but I would much rather crawl than not be able to walk and fall on my face.
Right.
So I'll crawl first. We'll crawl out of this. We will.
I want to mention to you on the Senior Citizen Center, y'all spent $108,000, but I did notice that the last year that Sarcoa cut y'all's funding on, and only fund y'all what, 14,000?
Yes, that's correct. We got $14,000 from Sarcoa. You know, for us, the Southeast Alabama Regional Planning and Development Commission, they paid one of our part-time employees at the senior center, and when that year was up, we had the option to either let her go or to pay her out of our general fund. Okay, and for me, the senior centers, the senior citizens, that is the highlight of their day, and I didn't want to understaff it. You know, I knew that I was taking on something that was a little bit risky, But, you know, every one of those people that are hauled up there and ride that bus, they are a person of Ashford too. And the ones that are homebound, we take meals to them. We use our own fuel to take meals to them. And, you know, all we were asking was, you know, we need help. I mean, this is not funny. I would invite any business that wanted to come to Ashford to come. Line the road. Come. We want you to be here. I mean, we do. I do. I mean, I do. Here's a question.
All right.
One question. Does anybody know how much foot traffic enters through the inland gas station on a daily basis? I asked. 1,500 people run through the inland gas station on a daily basis.
In Ashford, Alabama.
In Ashford, Alabama. 1,500 people. That's a lot of people.
So, to the business community, Ashford is open for business.
Yes.
And 1,500 come through the inland. Tell me some reasons why I'd want to locate a business in Ashford.
I don't know if anybody realizes it, but there's plenty of property. Our area, if you look at the west side of Houston County, it's full. But the east side of Houston County is wide open. Now, I know that the Flying J, we have three, let me back up. We have three trucking companies that operate, no, we have four trucking companies that operate out of the city limits of Ashford. You got ETI, Summerford Truck Line, you have AMX, and you have Michael Jordan's outfit. And I asked Loves to come. They turned me down. They said the truck count wasn't big enough. At that point in time, I was talking with Mr. John Summerford and Mr. White, okay, of AMX. And they put together a plan for Loves or for Pilot Flying J to come, and they wouldn't come. We've called Walmart and asked them to come. I tell you, come. I want them to come. We don't have anything. We don't have a hardware store. We have a small hardware store. Take that back. Sorry, TJ or JT. I'm sorry. We have a hardware store, but it's a very small one. But if we need major items, we got to go all the way to Dothan. Why doesn't somebody want to be here? If you take and go out 10 miles and circle around, there was a study done by the Ashford United Methodist Church. There's about 40,000 people. Well, most of those, if you go in three other directions, that means that around 30,000 people live within 10 miles of Ashford and come to Ashford on a daily basis. Why wouldn't you want to be here? We don't have a hotel. I mean, that's it. We don't have a hardware store. We don't have an auto parts store. We don't have a fast food restaurant other than the Subway. We don't. We don't have any of those things. So those businesses are wide open for you if you want to come.
But a 1,500 walk-in traffic on one business on 84.
Yep.
I'm going to close with this. Ashford's a friendly town. You got a lot of friendly people here in Ashford. And if somebody wants to contact you about opening up a business in Ashford, give me a telephone number they can contact you.
334-726-4262.
Now, 726-4262, and most people, the mayor wouldn't give you a cell phone number, but being a 726, I know that that's your cell phone number. So if you're interested in coming to Ashford, contact the mayor and come to Ashford.
Thank you.
Thanks.